Well, good
So
morning
that's
and
it from
welcome
me.
to our seminar. This is our sixth seminar of the winter season, and obviously quite chilly here in New York. And I was complaining until I talked to our friend in Sweden there, where it's a minus 15 to 30 today. So I'm feeling quite warm, having had that information, and I will not complain about the weather the rest of the weekend here in New York. So we're going to do a review of a number of products that we saw at the show. And one of the products that caught my eye the most and that I was most intrigued by is something that I expected that would be happening in years to come, but not expected to happen so quickly. And that is a program called Watch It Golf, right? It comes out of Sweden. It's the brainstorming of a number of people, among them a Swedish PGA member who was looking for a better way to interact with his students and to, provide them a platform where they could go back and forth and communicate not only, between the lessons, but, they could supply information and the student could, again, take information, take swings and send them back to the instructor and so forth. And so basically Watch It Golf was born probably more than what, 30, 35 years ago? Would that be accurate, Patrick?
Yeah. In the early 90s, the idea came up, but there was no tool out there.
Yeah, so we're here. We are fast forward 32 years later, and we have a program on the market. And if you would, Patrick, I was very impressed by it, as were a number of members of our section who made me aware of where your booth are and what you're trying to do. But as I understand it, what we're doing is we're taking video in a program, in your software program, and this video is going to, from a face on and down the line perspective, this is going to allow you to give accurate launch monitor numbers on your data on your screen. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And we're right now using iPhone, the iPhone cameras
right.
from the front and down the line, and has built an AI tool and an AI model from the pictures. So we have learned the model, what a club head is, what a ball is, and so on. And from those parameters, we actually get the ball data and the club head data, and also some of the body measurement that we need to see in a golf swing. We also build a drawing tool inside it. So I think we capture all the areas that could be interested as a golf coach, and also from the consumer perspective, it's a reachable tool for them to reach out to whatever pro they like, because all of the pros in the system will be possible to reach out to and take lessons from through the system. So it's I think we build it in a pretty good way.
So you're going to be able to do remote teaching as well.
Yeah, exactly. So if I, as a consumer, use my phone, record a shot with a video and the numbers, I can choose the coach of my choice to send for analyze to, and I prepaid the lesson, and through the system, then he or she gets the video and do the lesson in the system and send it back again, and then he gets paid through the system.
All right. And so you have a tool not only to teach with, but you have a platform by which people can reach out to instructors, which is very interesting. Yeah. Now, how many data parameters? Like as I understand it, you're launching, all things going correctly, you're going to be launching this March with the app and the software.
Yeah, that's correct. And right now we have 17 numbers in the system, 11 from the front camera and 6 from the down the line camera. Behind the scenes right now, we have 5 to 8 more numbers to come. We're working on hand models to actually understand angle of attack and compare angle of attack to dynamic loft and spin loft to be even more accurate than the other system on those parameters. So we understand the ball flight and spin rates much better.
And as I understand it, you've been testing your system against some of the leading launch monitors, which we're all familiar with. and you're finding that your system's holding up very well and providing very accurate data.
Yeah, that's correct. If we look into ball data, ball speed, of course it's a phone, so we can miss pictures sometimes because it's a camera in the phone. But when we are hitting all the pictures, we are inside 1 miles an hour compared to the biggest system like Foresight and TrackMan. If we miss a picture, we are about 2.5 off on the ball speed. So it's pretty decent anyway, even if we miss some pictures.
Well, the thing that most impressed me, and again, you know, obviously you're yet to be in the marketplace, but soon to be, is that this is going to be very unique for a lot of golf professionals worldwide, as well as a lot of, you know, golf consumers worldwide, because it's very affordable compared to the leading launch monitors in the marketplace.
Yeah. On the consumer side, we have different options, but the cheapest one will be $10 a month, and up to $25 monthly, depending on how many numbers you would like to see and so on. And for the Teaching Pro, it costs $3,000, and then a monthly fee of $100 for the cloud storage, because it's a lot of videos that we need to save in the cloud for all the calculations and everything, and also for the coach to actually get afterwards and has it in his library.
Right. So then as a coach, if I utilized your program, I would pay my upfront cost, and then I'm looking at $100 a month, but you're going to store all my videos. So then when I want them, I can go to the app, and like if I wanted to pull down, you know, say Anders, if I wanted to pull down a video of Anders as you know, one of my students, I could do that.
Yeah, whenever you like. And the good thing about the system is that every student you connect to the system that actually is a user of the system, who pays $10 or whatever he pays, you get a commission every month from their fee or on their subscription. So if you have between 50 to 100 members or students, you actually has the cost for free.
Right. So your student commission that you pay them would cover your cloud cost.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, free is certainly a word that golf professionals love to hear, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good. And also one of the things in the system is you set your own pricing on the lessons, on-site lessons, remote lessons. We can in the near future also connect through Zoom meeting and have a live session with all the numbers. So what you draw on your screen will be visible for the student on the other side. And that lessons fee is completely 100% the coach. We don't interfere with that at all. So the only cost for the pro is actually the $100 monthly subscription.
Right. Well, the thing that most amazed me was, you know, given the price of launch monitors today, and, you know, in our case here in the States, you know, a lot of our club professionals have about 100 jobs to do every week. Teaching's one of those 100. So, you know, they don't spend as much time teaching as they might like to. And so for them to go out and spend an enormous amount of money on technology is somewhat cost prohibitive unless the club's going to buy it, because, you know, the rate of return just isn't there because they don't do enough revenue. But this is a program that it would allow any golf professional anywhere to have first-rate technology, and for the most part, other than the initial cost, they would be able to use this technology, and it'll be very affordable to them. That's one of the most impressive aspects about your program, is that it's, you know, so inexpensive for what you're able to do, given that your data is correct.
Yeah, thank you. And also, I think from my perspective, it's actually the possibility to do lessons remotely on your free time when you don't have other lessons. I've worked with the system for the last 3 months now, giving lessons, and you actually manage to do between 4 to 6 lessons an hour through the system, because you get the video from the customer, you can look into it, and then you record it, voice record, you can put notes, draw lines and everything. And when you're satisfied with the lesson, you send it back to the student and you get paid instantly. So actually, if you look at the hourly rate, you're going to earn more money this way than a regular lesson.
And you could do it in your pajamas.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you don't do any video. You know, one of the things that I do with all of my lessons is, you know, I utilize video, and I'm on a platform that I like, and the ability to send my students information, and I try to do it, you know, in the same day if possible, and with an overview of the lesson we had just had, it's very stimulating for the student to receive, because I always get very good remarks back. But I also get video back from them, which then, you know, they're trying to utilize the changes that we're trying to make. And it also is a means by which they can book additional lessons with me. So that the communication plateau is very important with the student. And if I haven't heard from a student, I'll film something and send it to them, you know, on my platform. And like within a day or two, I will hear back from them. I haven't seen you, you know, been busy. I need to get back hitting balls, what have you. So I think that's really a great tool that you have there, because the communication tool, you know, brings you back into the student's life very easily.
Yeah, exactly. And also, as you say, if someone doesn't show up or forget about you, you can, from the last session, you can send the text message through the system, and it pops up as a notification that you try to reach out. So it's easy to stay connected. It
is. The other thing that interested me in your program was, you know, you're a member of the Swedish PGA, which, you know, all of us have a lot of respect for. And we were talking earlier about, you know, I've always been impressed with Sweden for such a small country, small population, a cold climate, you know, how many world-class golfers, and the impact that, you know, Sweden has had on the international golf market. And so one of the members of your staff, Anders Fordbrand, is a previous European Tour player and has played on the senior tour in Europe. Also, Anders, I was reading where you have the lowest final 36 holes ever recorded in what is now known as the Open Championship, which we, of course, call the British Open, because we haven't bought into that marketing tool just quite yet. And living in Alabama. So, Anders, I'd like to get your impression of the technology, because back when you were winning tours on the European Tour and on the international scene, you know, you had like a 20, 25-year career there where we didn't have the technology that we have today, and that, you know, Patrick and Nicholas are going to talk about. So what's your impression of everything that's going on with Watch It and your interaction with the company, and as well as what you've done teaching wise since retiring from, you know, the European Tour?
Well, I think it's the amazing part is that we all thought that it was going to happen sooner or later, but that it was going to come together this quickly. I mean, it's taken us almost 3 years to get to where we are. But then when I talked to Nicholas and Patrick the first time, I said, so you guys mean that we should be able to just stand there with a phone and film the guys and we're going to get numbers? And they said, yeah, that's our intention. And I said, I'm all in. And because that to me it's still today, it's so mobile that you can have this on the tripod and take it out on the golf course, or you just move it from your hitting bay or wherever you want, and be able to teach and get the numbers, because the numbers, you know, are from a player's perspective, they are different on the golf course compared to what they are in a hitting bay or on the range.
Certainly.
So I think it's really cool to see what we've been able to achieve, and the tool for the teaching pros today. We have another scenario that we want to just give to you guys, that if you have, say, 300 members in the golf club, that the 300 members pay $20 for the year, then the teaching pro gets it for free. And the only thing that he needs to do is pay his $100 a month, and he also gets the commission of the $6,000 that the club pays. So we're trying to get it into the club, so as many of the members can be able to use it in different ways at your facilities.
Yeah, it's technology and amateur players, members. In my case, I'm not at a private facility. I have, I teach indoors and outdoors, in the city here. And then once spring and summer hit, I'm outdoors quite a bit. Is that I don't have anybody, regardless of age, who comes to me and doesn't have some kind of technology or awareness of the numbers. They might not know what to do with them. Right? They might not be interpreting them the right way, but everybody is into technology these days. It's just, it's here. It has, I've often said it kind of overrun the golf industry, for better or for worse. And obviously by what you're doing here with this, with camera technology, right? Because when launch monitors first come in, I used to see a lot of people giving lessons just by, looking at numbers, which always kind of amazed me that you wouldn't want to see the swing. Still not sure of that, but I saw that, and now, and as we were talking earlier before we went live, the camera is back, front and center, because the camera is what allows you to get all the data that you have because of the software and all the work that your programmers and engineers have done. So the better the camera, I imagine, the more concise the data is that your program is going to be providing us.
Yeah, I think when Apple upgrades their from 60 frames a second to 120, whenever that's going to happen, our picture is going to be twice as good, and it's pretty excellent right now. But it's going to be awesome, and it's going to help us to be super accurate on all the numbers. But I agree with you. I mean, the video is the video, and the video tells the story about a golf swing. Yeah, we create the numbers from it. But as a player, I would say that if you take the numbers when you're playing good, that's when you're going to try to move back to. When you're out of sync, then you're going to look at the numbers in the golf swing and says, where was I? What was the numbers I was really good at? What has changed? And then you find a good way to get back there with your teacher. Another thing that we're going to do with the numbers is that make it simple. The smash factor, which everybody likes, we're going to have a red and the green. So if it's 137 on the driver, and it's going to be red, and then you can click on that, and it's going to tell you what smash means, that it is club head speed and ball speed together. But then it's going to help you to understand the different numbers. We're going to try to educate them and make it easier for you guys to be able to teach them as well.
Yeah, Anders, I think it brings a lot to the company to have you as a former tour winner, a player, and a teacher involved, because you understand it from a couple of different domains. You obviously you had quite a talent to score and go low. You have a history of a lot of low rounds, and I think that means a lot, because not only do you understand it as a teacher after your playing career, but you had a very established playing career, so you can come at it from all sides, which lends a lot to, I think, the credibility of the company.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's been great fun as well to be able to do this. I mean, we know that it is a very, very unique product, and to be able to be part of it, and yeah, it's been some ups and downs, because software is software, but to do this and to be able to help all the teaching pros around the world and all the golfers around the world, that's going to be a tremendous amount of fun to see how the product will be used and what they're going to say about it. And we're going to learn more. We're going to be able to give them more. And part of it is that we want your information as a teaching pro to tell us what can we improve for you to be able to get it so you can use it better, and what is important to you as well.
Yeah, that was one of the things that struck me when I was talking to Patrick, was that you're very pleased with where you are now, but the gist of the conversation was that we're looking forward to where we can go. So it's not like you're resting on your laurels, right? And you were smart enough to move to Alabama, which is about 50 degrees warmer than what Nicholas is putting up with this morning in Sweden.
Oh,
well, it's a little bit warmer here than it is up there. If you ever get a chance to go up north in Sweden, it is beautiful. It is pretty, but it is cold in the winter.
I think that would be a July, August visit for me.
You're very welcome.
I am not the smartest person in New York, but I'm smart enough to know not to go to Sweden in February. All right, because we'll let that to Nicholas, who is much stronger at this than I am. Now, Nicholas, you head up the company, right?
Yes, right.
And so, what is it that you see going forward, and what is it that what is your vision as a CEO of this company?
Oh, I would say it's almost limitless because what we do is that we can learn a program or an AI or what you call it to find objects in a video, track them down and follow them and give them data. So, I mean, the limits of this company, we don't have any. The only thing we need to do right now is to be super focused on this golf product in the beginning to make sure it will be as good as it can. Put all the resources necessary in order to make it grow and continue to be a better and better and better product, because all the ingredients to make it even better as we walk along is there. So right now we need to keep it on this level because people has to also follow and understand the product in the beginning, because it is one of the questions. People didn't understand that it was so easy, and we need to keep it very easy. But after that, I mean, we have a lot of other athletic sports. There is numerous civil other industrial applications we could develop. So I mean, the possibilities are endless, and that also is a risk for the company. So we need to keep focus right now to get this first March launch, which we are determined to keep, and get as much feedback as we can from the teaching professionals and the amateurs on how to continue to develop the app to become even more alluring and fun to use.
One of the things that I did not ask yet of any of you, I spent a lot of time with putting and green reading and short game, in my teaching. If I were to utilize your program with putting, would I get any data?
Not at the moment, but let's say end of the summer.
End of summer. And what about short game, Patrick?
The same will be there. We need to look into the pitch and the chip shots and everything because we need to do it in a little different way than today.
I'm sure you do. So the initial launch will be full swing, and then as the spring summer goes in, then you're going to work in short game, which would be obviously chipping, pitching, bunker play, and putting. Correct?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
The first thing I believe right now, we should do the putting thing first because we have a lot of good things to do there, I believe. So the putting model will come first, I believe.
For somebody that does a lot of teaching with putting, I think putting is probably one of the least understood aspects of golf shots.
Yeah, agree. Yes,
and certainly one that is very difficult to get students to learn, to spend the time to become good putters.
Exactly, and also all the things out there on the market, put a device on the shaft or something like that, and for me that's annoying. I don't want anything on my club, on my putter. So right. In the same way there, we only can use the phone in a certain way and get all the path and close face, a roll of the ball and everything. So we're looking into to solve that.
Yeah, I use a couple different pieces of the technology, and all of them have to be applied either to the grip or to the shaft in order to make them work. And which involves some time with, some of them need to be calibrated.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
In order to, because the better the calibration with some of these units that I use, then obviously the more accurate the data, and the more accurate the data, the more efficient and effective I can be.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward. What we're going to do for those of you who are sitting in on this morning is this deck of products that we have. We're going to update the Watch It one here with contact information here in the States. And then we're going to, when I say we, I mean Noah. My idea, Noah gets to do the work, but Noah's going to send it out to all of you. So you're going to have all the information from not only Watch It, but from the other products that we're going to feature this morning, as well as contact information. And then I have the opportunity with Nicholas, Patrick, and Anders. I have their emails and points of contact. So I'm going to stay abreast of what's going on here over the next 30 to 60 days. And so then once we reach our spring educational, we'll have some updated information which we can share after the initial launch and how things are going. So gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having
Patrick, best wishes with your wife today, and I hope you get some good news going forward. I hope she's doing better.
Actually, we're going to the emergency right now, so but it looks good. So it's no big deal.
All right, our thoughts and prayers are with her.
Thank you,
Nicholas. You stay warm.
Thank you. Right. I will, absolutely.
Maybe Anders could send you some pictures of sunshine that will make you feel better.
I was in the state last week, so I had my share of sunshine because you see I'm all red. So
yeah.
Well, the good thing is that if there's any consolation here, you're about 6 to 7 hours ahead of Anders, so you'll be into the weekend before he will be.
I will.
All right. Thank you so much, Anders. I look forward to catching up with you again, and you have a good weekend. And thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you all for having us.
All right. We look forward to catching up after your launch.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you
good
very
weekend
much.
to you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good day.
Bye-bye.
All right, Noah, if we could move forward there to our next app that shows, or our next slide that shows how hard I was working at the PGA Show. Somebody got me sideways. So if everybody turns their camera sideways there, that picture actually was looking good at one point, but that's me working very hard at the PGA Show on behalf of all of you. I was encouraged to get into those leggings, those recovery air jet boots by a friend of mine, Bernie Najar, who's down there in the middle Atlantic section. He was telling me that all of his tour players and competitive players wear them and how good I'd feel. So I got into those for 20 minutes. And then when the gentleman from Therabody wasn't looking, I upped it another 20 minutes. So Nordy, I got 40 minutes in those boots. I felt great.
And I know you did, John. And once again, thanks for inviting me on.
Great to have you.
Once again, I mean, I think, John, the best lead into this would be to give your experience of what you got when you wore them, because let's back up a little. Theragun, for the most part, is known as they're guns, okay? But they are evolving into a lot of different products. And once again, Therabody is the leader, not the follower. They're the ones who come up with these products. This Theragun started as a need for our owner 16 years ago when he had a motorcycle accident, and he worked in his garage diligently with power tools trying to figure something out. But once again, we have the Theraguns, we've gone into the rollers, and now we're expanding into a lot of different products. This being one that John tried down at the show, the jet boots, and they're really an incredible product. But John, I think you should talk a little about it, and then I'll explain a little more about them once you give your experience of what you felt with them.
Yeah, so what happened was Bernie and I were walking around. He had just done a seminar over there at one of the force plate companies. And I said, look, I want to go over to Therabody. I said, they have a number of different products. Are you familiar with them? He said, oh, yeah. I said, Bernie's down at Caves Valley. They have an account. And he said, yeah. He says, my players use a lot of the products and I really like them. And he says, and I had seen the jet boots because people are laying there in chairs and, with these boots on. And basically they cover your feet. And in my case, because of the length and the length of my legs, they went up almost to, over my thighs, right? And he said, you got to try these. And I said, yeah. I said, everybody seems to be enjoying them while they're using them. He said, he said, more than anything else, they're recovery, right? He said, so my competitive players, he has Kyle Berkshire, who's the world long drive champion. And he has a number of competitive players on the Corn Ferry, and he works with some tour players. He said, all my really competitive guys use these for recovery. He said, they swear by them. He said, I want to get a pair. He said, I'll go over there with you. So we went over and put ourselves in a couple of Barco loungers there, put back, and got the attention of everybody there at Therabody. And so basically they strapped them in. The things that impressed me about them initially were they were wireless, so that I can charge them up, right? There's a battery pack that you charge them for. There's a amount of compression that you can put on your legs. And I think it was 50, 75, and 100, if I'm not mistaken. And so I use different amounts of compression because after all, I was in them for 40 minutes. And then you can set timers like 20, 40, 60 minutes as well. And while I was laying there, there were a number of guys that stopped by and asked me what I thought. And I was telling them, it's hard to say yet because I'm still in them, but it's very comfortable having the compression on my legs. And what happens is the compression legging, it starts at your feet and works up toward, up your thigh, right up your leg. And then it relaxes, then it goes back to your feet and repeats the process. So it's a continuous cycling of compression from your feet up to your thigh, and then, back down to your feet, up to your thigh. So that's what's going on. And the thing that I liked most about them is they covered my feet, because my feet were killing me. I had just done multiple days of outdoor putting classes and green reading stuff for the previous 4 days. So, my feet were just like dead. My legs were tired because that show floor is just the worst floor in the world to walk on, and if you're not on carpet with any type of padding. And so I got out of them. And I was amazed. My feet and my legs felt better than it had felt in years. It lasted all day long for me, which was really impressive. I was shocked at how good I felt. And so I was talking to the lady there, and I said, I need to get these. And she said, where are you from? And I said, oh, I'm from New York. And she says, where in New York? And I told her metropolitan area. And she says, oh, just give Nordy a call. He'll take care of you. And I said, right. I said, I know David. And I said, what else do you have? And so what I come to find out is you have a whole line of compression products now that are either introduced or going to be introduced as we go into the early spring, summer. Is that correct?
Yes. And I'll go over those quickly.
Yeah, I would like to know some more about because there were a number of ones that had sleeves for the knees and legs and arms.
Yeah, basically, and getting back to with John with the boots have been out now probably a year. We introduced them where we still have a pump version, because the reason being on that is we've got jackets coming out, we've got arm sleeves coming out that are compression, but most people use the boots more than anything else. And just to back up a little, why John felt so well. As a human being, we're very imperfect when we're standing on our feet all day long, all the toxins go down in our body. And what I've discovered when I do a demo day or a seminar, I'll only put one boot on a person. And that really gets them to feel what the difference is. But what it does is, like John said, it compresses from the bottom to the top, and it helps to bring the toxins up. And not only that, but it also helps your heart beat. It take some pressure off the heart, but also too, and I'll get into some of the new products now, but most everything that we do now, and like John, when you said it's got 4 different compressions on the boot, when you use the app, everything is unlimited. You can control everything from that. The Theraguns.
Okay, I've lost contact with you, Nordy.
And it teaches the person how to use it as well as you. But getting into some of the, you there?
Yes, we're live again. You were on a walkabout there for 20 seconds.
Okay, I'm sorry. Then
you're back on that walkabout. All right. So I'll tell you what we're going to do is Caitlin and Noah. Is Nordy, is he live? You back, Nordy?
I'm here.
All right. Yeah, take us through it. You're back good.
Sorry about that. I don't know how much you heard about the boots, but they're becoming more and more popular. And one of the things, and your ability to sell them is to demo them too. But going through some of the new products that we're coming out with, I mean, you all know the guns. You all know the Mini. The Mini now got minier,
right?
Stronger, better, smaller, and quieter. Great tournament gift.
Yeah, Rob Labritz was telling us that he showed us that he keeps in his golf bag, as a matter of fact.
Yes, he does. I think I got to get him the newer size too. But once again, great tournament gift.
Wait till he wins.
What's that?
I said, tell him you'll send it to him after he wins. We'll give him some incentive.
You know, I got to see him down at the Senior Open last year, and the way the crowd grabbed onto him was incredible.
Yeah, he grabbed them first. That's why.
I don't know if you guys have ever, a lot of you have been to a doctor's office where you put these little pads on and it stimulates the muscles. We have those now too. One of the products that is, as soon as we get these back in stock, they sell out. But I mean, this was a great product down at the show where what these are, they called smart goggles. They help you relax at the end of a day, feeling a little stressed or whatnot. These hook up to the Bluetooth app, put them on. There's music. There's also within these, it's not a virtual thing where you're playing a game or anything, but you put them on and they have light vibration along with heat. And you lay down with these for 15 minutes and also music playing too, if you do use the app. I can't make it to 15 minutes with these things, but it's a great relaxation thing. It's great for headaches, great for anxiety. I have a daughter in college who has anxiety, but she uses these every night now, and it helps her get to sleep and everything. So, I mean, once again, the roller series, we've had this. This was our second thing. Yeah, the roller. I will use this. I have plantar fasciitis. Put it on the floor, put the vibration on, and it helps to get that circulation going. And the circulation is one of the biggest things with this. I'm brutally honest when I'm in a sales call and I get questions. Is Theragun starting to die out? Only if you let it. Why should something that helps you so much, and we deal on facts, not on, hey, this is it. People should continue using. I wish I could be in a shop with you guys and help you sell. And once again, and as a lot of you know, I get a lot of long-winded on some things, but Todd and John at Burning Tree were nice enough to invite me to a seminar in December where they had me, they had a therapist, they had there was another guy with a drink who was involved with Rob Labritz also, but the amount of people and what we got out of something like that, and I'm offering that to you guys too, is if you do something like that and I am available, I will come. But once again, some of the other new things, you have knee issues. This looks like something out of the Bionic Man, but this is hot and cold therapy along with vibration. And it's fantastic. We also are coming out with, have one for the waist, which is incredible. And we had TheraFace. Just shows you where we expand to and things. And I'm sorry, this product right here is TheraFace, and this has to do with therapy of the face. It has ultraviolet, it has hot and cold stimulation. But this is also one of our new products that is doing fantastic. But once again, Theragun is a head to toe company. And a lot of it has to do with helping your circulation, getting those muscles going. We have now have a cupping device too. I'm a little scared of that one though.
We'll try that on Jeff Smith.
Well, what it does is it's once again, it's going to be coming out soon. I don't know if anybody knows about cupping, but the theory behind cupping is it actually pulls the skin from the muscle to encourage, once again, blood flow and everything. And that's what this is all about. But my whole thing is, let me help you. Let me come and do product seminars with your staff. That's what's going to help sales. Just having it on the floor isn't. Like John, I mean, I went down to third.
I'm telling you what, it's just like, if you get into these leggings, you're going to buy them. I guarantee you, because I'm gonna get them. I'm on my feet all day long. Our next presenter, Jeff Smith, is a good friend of mine from Indiana, and he and I were talking about it. He's on his feet all day long, teaching, instructing, and I'm gonna get a set, and I'm gonna use them morning and evening. I'm gonna use them after I'm done each day, and I want to get up. I can get up a little bit earlier in the morning and incorporate them into part of my workout. Do at least 15 to 20 minutes, because I'm sold on them.
Well, John,
my legs were just. But unless you try them, you're never going to know it.
And you're correct. And I mean, I'll finish it off with when I first got them and I use them, I said to my sales manager, I said, my legs feel lighter. And she goes, that's what it should be. That's
exactly what your feet and your legs feel lighter.
Yeah. But once again,
you're going to be at the spring meeting.
Yes.
Right. So but I encourage all of you who are at the spring meeting to get out there and fool around with some of these products. And I'd also encourage you to let Nordy come out and spend a couple hours with you and your staff and put these leggings on, because your members will love them and they will buy them. I assure you of that.
Thank you.
No, I mean, they're a great product. I'm thinking of you as the doctor of health and wellness now.
Well, and John, you talked to me a lot about Theragun, but the proof is in the pudding. And
no, I have my Theragun. My Theragun sits on my bedstand. I use it, I use it daily, because I have some issues with my hip and it gets blood flowing in my hip and thigh area. So I use it for that. And, I'm on my feet. And so I use it lightly on my feet each night as well to stimulate my feet.
And the last thing I will say, though, is using your units in conjunction with the app really helps you to learn how to use it correctly. Because I see some people where they'll just sit and go like this, wrong way to use it. But
yeah,
once
the app's
again,
a big help,
the app.
which you turned me on to last time that we were talking.
So once again, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nordy, for coming on. I appreciate it. Let's figure out some ways to get you out to some of our other things that we're going to have going on, so that our professionals can experience some of these things firsthand, and then we'll also catch up here at the spring meeting at Braeburn.
Yes.
Thank you, Nordy.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on. All right, now we got Jeff Smith coming up with the plates there. If you put up our next slide. Good morning, Jeff. How are you doing?
Hey, John. Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for coming on.
Can you hear me?
And that was actually Nordy with Sconey Shoes, which is we'll get back to that one, but Sconey's a new company that Nordy has that has shoes for the golf course as well as after play. And there's Jeff Smith with Smart to Move. So Jeff is a couple of things. One, he's a friend of mine, and so we're not going to hold that against him, but he's also a friend of James Hong and has done a number of video segments for our company with James. And now Jeff is going to be, in addition to his teaching out in Indiana and his teaching out in Colorado, he's smarter than the rest of us. He goes to Colorado in the summer. He is going to be the National Director of Instruction for Smart to Move and their new, shall we call them, portable force plates, Jeff?
Yeah, that's the one of the biggest attractions. I've used their 1D force plates, which a lot of people will just say, well, that's just pressure. It catches vertical force and all the pressure stuff. I've had those for the last 5 years, and the portability of those is great. You pick them up, they're the size of a TrackMan, they're the weight of a TrackMan when you put two of those together. But now they've come up with the 3D force plates that are portable, and they are 11 pounds a piece, and I can carry those around. I've got a nice little padded travel case that I've got that I brought them home from the show in. And so I'm getting the stuff that previously people would have to have a big studio and have them mounted in the floor. And effectively, you know, Smart to Move still has those. They call them the research grade plates, but the ones that I've got are now portable. I can travel with them. I can take them with me to Colorado. I can travel various places with them and find a level spot on the range and have at it. It's pretty good. So I get to now measure right on my iPad. You know, you use your iPad, you shoot the video, it brings it right into the software, and it syncs up the information of what force you're using at what time during the swing. So I get to see the lateral force and measured. I get to see the rotary force that's measured. I get to see the vertical torque and how it's measured, and I get to see the vertical force and how it's measured. And I can see that in multiple forms. This is the big key. That they made some software for this that's iOS based, and it's I get to take a look at the plates, and I get to see the pressure trace, but I can hit a button, and next thing you know, I'm looking at the force vectors in how big they get, in which direction they go, and I can see that as it's happening in that video, so I know when and where in the golf swing it is. But they did something better for me at the show. Normally we see these graphs for measuring the force, and we have to become graph readers, and so do our students have to become graph understanders. And a lot of us aren't all that steeped in math, and certainly an awful lot of our students aren't in love with that idea either. So these guys have come up with something better. They've got an actual dashboard that looks like I want to call it, it's like a race car dashboard, where you get to see levels changing, and you can see the lateral, the rotational, and the vertical all going at the same time, and you get to see it in different levels as the magnitude changes. So it's really pretty impressive. I'm pleased to be able to own them and to use them. I used them prior to the show. I brought them with me to the show. I used them immediately after the show in a golf school, and now I'm back in Indiana and I've got lessons, and they're in use right now. So I'm pretty pleased.
So this is giving you, shall we say, triple the data that you had previously been getting with the other product?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, one thing I noticed, all the activity they had at the show, they now have a new problem. Order it today, you can't get it till the end of March, early April now, because orders have been so big that they have depleted their initial supply in the last 3 weeks. It's amazing. So I'm pretty pleased with the quality of the product. I'm pretty pleased with everything about it. And I get more information so I can then know what I can have my student do very quickly.
And you're going to be coming down to see us, correct? Here in the metropolitan section?
I am. We're going to work on some dates that I can get out there. I've had an awful lot of other people try to get me to come.
None of which we care about, by the way.
I get it.
This is all about us.
The plan for the Met section has been so far, a good friend of mine, who I will not mention his name or how genius level this idea was, but we're going to spend 2 days in the Met section, and we're going to do some morning sessions and some afternoon sessions, and we're going to split the territory, so to speak. We're going to do some on Long Island, and then we're going to do some not on Long Island, and we're going to actually cross the bridge and go to, you know, somewhere in the Westchester County area, we hope. And we're going to try to get that done in 2 days time. So hopefully everybody can come out when their schedule works for them. Going to do morning.
So one of the ideas that we had at James Hong, who all of you know is out on the island, the king of the island. So James is going to have Jeff out. So I suggested to to Jeff and James that we ought to do this as a collaboration with the section. So Jeff has agreed because he wants to get on Indiana. It's a little warmer here, not a whole lot, but a little bit. And so what we're going to do is we'll put these on probably an addendum to the winter schedule, but we're going to have one full day on Long Island with James Hong. So we'll do a morning segment and an afternoon segment. And all of you will be invited to attend that, and we'll have a registration to see how many we can accommodate. We'll do another one over here in Westchester. We were talking with Jason Birnbaum over at Manhattan Woods, and he was interested in the plates. And so and Manhattan Woods is obviously a nice locale. So we may do one up there morning and afternoon. And then we have an interest from people out in Jersey. So we have Jeff coming into work at least 2 to 3 days, at least 4 to 6 seminars. And so that'll give us firsthand experience, because Jeff has a lot of experience in working with ground pressure forces, vertical forces, horizontal forces, lateral forces. And I think it'd be a great idea, because everybody wants to create more speed, no doubt, right? Myself included. And I think what Jeff was sharing with us at the show is, from gathering all the data from his plates, you have a lot of really good players, because Jeff teaches a lot of college players. He teaches, both Korn Ferry and some tour players, that you have various players creating different forces, different ways, don't you?
I do. As a matter of fact, it's interesting that there is no, everybody likes to think that there's one particular pattern that works better than another, and that is simply not the case. I've seen some very long hitting players that do it very differently. So if you're out there thinking, hey, look, there's a better way than others, well, possibly, but that's a per player basis. Don't just get stuck on one idea. Not even close.
Yeah, I was talking to Bernie Najar about this as well, because he works with the plates, and he has some long drive guys, and like you, Korn Ferry and tour players, and so I made the mistake of saying to him, well, I said, you're probably seeing a lot of similar data. And he started laughing. He says, I'm seeing a lot of dissimilar data. And I said, what do you mean? He said, you'd be surprised at the different ways. Like he said that, he said, like a guy like Kyle Berkshire, he creates a lot of speed, which is his powerful tool, right? He said, then I have other long drive guys that don't have the speed that Kyle has, but they have more power than Kyle has. And that's how they create their speed. He said, so you got speed, guys who are just quick, fast twitch muscle speed, they create, that long ball. And then you got the guys who are strong and powerful as another means. And he said, and when you put them on the plates, he said, you see very different numbers. He said, it's shocking how different they can be at times, but they're both effective.
That's right. And that's one of the things that we continue to preach to people, is to not get stuck in the notion that there's one best way. Because we have seen over the course of years in measuring and various forms of measuring players, there are very different ways of striking a golf ball well and hitting it very far. And
I think it's good to see the data that supports that, right?
I agree. And anytime you can give some facts instead of just conversation, it's always helpful.
So, when all else fails, confuse them with factual information.
Yeah, isn't that always the case, right?
It is.
Don't confuse me with the facts, sir.
Jeff does a lot of teaching. He's involved with the PGA on a national basis, so he's on the education. Shall we say it's not a committee so much, but education faculty for the national PGA. Is that correct?
Right, that's correct. I'm on the adjunct faculty, so they get to send me around to different PGM schools and down to Frisco, and I get to teach some of the young people that are coming up. And it's really a good thing to be able to share real knowledge because it's fact, and it's not storytelling. It is, it's here we are armed with things that are actually real, and it's good to be able to present that.
Yeah, so what we're going to do, I know you got to run to do some teaching here. I assume you're going to be using your force plates here in the next hour.
Of course.
So get more data for us. But we're going to talk later this weekend, you, James, and I, and then we're going to figure out some dates so that we can get you on the calendar, and then alert our professionals to your impending, shall we call it, raid on the metropolitan section. from the
Right.
Indiana section, where I assure you we'll have warm weather for you come latter part of March.
Well, even if we don't have better weather than we've got here in Indiana, when I come, I am coming for the pizza.
The pizza
So,
and
I am coming.
the James Hong Long Island dining experience.
Yes, there's a morning version of that everybody understands, and there's an evening version of that that'll be some really nice dinners.
Jeff, it's always great to catch up with you. Thank you for coming on. I'll look forward to talking to you this weekend and getting some dates for you to visit with us.
Sounds great, John. Thank you very much for having me on.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
Have fun in Indiana today.
So I'll do that.
You do that. All right. So you've listened to me talk long enough. So here's what we're going to do now. Caitlin, where's your screen? You want to come up? Nordy, are you there? Nordy's back. All right. So Nordy, we figured out the situation with Therabody. Yeah. Talk to us about the shoes that you have there and what you'd like to do for the professionals here today.
So, I mean, I was lucky enough to, and I've done shoes in the past, hated shoes in the past, but I had the opportunity to take on a line called Sconey, which is kind of under the umbrella of 2 Under, and we know what's happened with 2 Under, but Sconey is a very casual shoe. It is a golf shoe. It's not waterproof. It's very comfortable, very lightweight, very casual, and it's very now. It's a lifestyle shoe. But we were awarded, and my printer cut off half of this, but best new product of the PGA Show, which is it's a pretty big deal, and we're just starting to ship these. I started showing them in the fall and had really good success. Some of the main points of it, once again, casual, lightweight, slip on, easy to go to the golf course with, but they're only about $50. They come in, they're a very simple shoe, and once again, this is the styling of now. 7 different colorways, once again, $50 a piece. Great tournament shoe. You can get these things down to about $40 for a tournament, and I've already had some book it because, once again, it fits into a lot of people's price range. But they also have a inner sole, which if you wear orthotics, you can put it on. The ladies are going to be coming out in March or April, but once again, you wear these, they're very lightweight, and I mean, it's fun, it's different. Some of the different colors, you have a black, and then you have another 5 colors, but once it's a fun shoe. It's not going to take over the world, but we were voted #1 best new product for a reason. And you see a lot of people wearing these around, and that's really all to that. It's just an easy shoe.
So it's kind of like now do they? What's the situation with shipping? How long is shipping going to take? Are they in stock?
Well, yeah, here, good. Thank you, John. There's no minimums. They're shipping out of the South, so you can order 1 pair at a time. And I can see a lot of people doing that because I will not book a lot of shoes into people. I know where that goes, but I also think it's something different where people will wait for it for a few days.
It's the type of thing where you could carry an inventory of different sizes and people could try them on, and then you could order that way too, right? That's,
John, once again, you hit it on the head, because I've been in the situations where guys order 48 pairs and nothing against everybody, but shoes can be a pain in the neck. This, once again, it's so different. I think people will have no problem waiting a day or 2 for them to get them.
Right.
So it is one of those things. It's not that shoe that somebody, if they got to play 18 holes, are going to come in and just want to walk away from it. It's just a casual shoe that's fun.
Good. And then Nordy, you had mentioned and worked out with Caitlin, which I tried to rig numerous times this morning without any success.
Caitlin, can you help out with that?
Caitlin,
what I'm doing is and Caitlin has pulled the raffle, but I have thrown two pairs of shoes. The winners, they can just get me their size and what color they want. If you don't know the colors, I'll send you the catalog. But Caitlin, can you help out here?
Yeah, so there was no rigging. Emily and Noah are my witnesses, and we pulled names out, and Dan Hemme and Joe D. Domenico. You guys both won a pair of shoes.
Joey
Compliments of Stone.
D. All right, Joey D. This does not count as any type of revenue, so don't let Diffley tax you on this.
Hey guys, just get me what size you are and go a half a size up.
And then Hemi is the new head professional at Innis Arden, so he's going to be on his feet 24/7. So he's going to need good shoes.
Thanks again.
Thank you, Nordy. Caitlin, thank you for the raffle.
Well, thank you.
I'm not appreciative of the fact that I couldn't rig it. I thought I should be able to, but you're an honest woman. So thank you for arranging that. And Joey D, make sure you get your sizes in, and Dan Hemi. All right. All right, Noah, if we could get back to the deck. So they're probably there after that. Yeah, Foresight Sports, right? So we're all familiar with Foresight, and they come out with some new products at the show. Foresight's also the sponsor of our Spring Educational Forum, all right? And we're going to be hosting that on Tuesday, April 25th at the Trump Ferry Point. So Brian Kroll's going to be our host professional for that. So we're going to have more information coming out. The presenters are lined up. We're finalizing everything with contracts and that at this point. So I would expect within the next week, we'll be able to announce more information about that. And Noah and Caitlin will create the registration, which will be on the website. All right, so we look forward to having Foresight with us there. And they did a couple of things at the show. One is they've added overhead projection, into a new element where you can get ball path, ball speed, club face path actually projected right onto the mat, which I thought was like really cool. For those of you who work indoors and have overhead simulation, you could add this to your Foresight. And then the other thing, which is really nice, is the Up Next program. So they have up to 50% off of their products for your juniors. So we'll get you more information on that through our contacts with Foresight. But James Hong had brought this to my attention. I had talked to them at the show about the juniors, and James was kind enough to send in some information about this too. But so if you have junior who are interested in purchasing Foresight products, then this Up Next program gives them significant discounts, which obviously is going to be a home run for their parents. So we'll get you more information on that. And actually, I think what we'll do is we'll get a table of information and have it at our Spring Educational Forum. And I will make a note of that to make sure that that gets done, right, since Foresight is our sponsor. And also with the Foresight products at our education, we're going to be outside at Trump Ferry Point. We'll try something new this year in that golf is played outside. Golf, for the most part, is taught outside, except for our winter months where we have to be indoors. But so we're going to utilize the driving range at Trump Ferry Point, as well as the short game practice areas with the pitching bunker green, and adjacent to that is a putting green. So we're going to do all of our programming outside. We'll have an early morning registration and maybe some indoor until it warms up a little bit. So this was an idea that myself and the committee come up with. So if it doesn't work out and you're freezing cold that day, as one of the chairmen of the education committee, you can certainly blame me. And if it does work out, then you can tell us how great it was, because it'll be the first time that we've been outside, which is a fun place to teach golf. All right, Noah, moving on. Next slide, please. And again, we're gonna send these slides out so you don't have to take pictures of them and clutter your camera. I'll have Noah, with his significant technological expertise, send this whole deck out to you. I'll update it after this morning's program and get it back to Noah and hopefully get it out to you sometime this weekend. So Why Golf was a company that those of you who are at the show may have seen. I like gadgets. I like things. This is inexpensive, this alignment disc. And what I liked about, and I've seen this before, I just didn't know where to get it. So it was kind of good that I ran into this at the show. But you notice there's it's nothing more than an alignment stick there. And of course, they put some kind of a protective covering on it. So one, it's cute. But two, you know, if the club hits it, it's less likely to snap it with that protective covering. You notice the different angles on the floor there, 45, 65, 50, so forth, you know, and they're in a circular way. So you could just shove that alignment rod in, and, you know, if you're working on plane, under, over plane, you know, if you're working on different shots, you know, you could just put that behind the player. I like it because it's adjustable, it's inexpensive. I like stuff, makes you look like you know what you're doing, right? And I'm big on plane. I like to know where the club is in the backswing. And what I find a lot of my teaching is I seem to attract a lot of twisters. So people are always twisting the club in and under, and then obviously coming out and over. So I have a couple of these that I'm going to utilize and set up, so I can create both a backswing and a downswing station. I can do through swing on the other side. You know, if you want to hit certain kind of shots and you want the rotation around the body to be a little lower on the follow through, or again, if you want to hit it up higher if you're hitting bunker shots and like that. So the disc is hard. You can't hurt it. You know, obviously you can't hurt the alignment sticks. You know, $2 at Home Depot. I got some of the ones with the sleeves on them because, again, you know, I want to look professional. More professional I look, the more I can charge, right? All right, Noah. So Y Golf has that, and then they have a couple of other different teaching aids that I like as well. So I go onto the website. This is one that James Hong shared with us. He calls it the force pedal, or they call it the force pedal because that's their name, right? So that's a little disc that you see, a little orange covering that goes over that yellow disc, and you put it under the feet, and you can use it, you know, both forward and, you know, back foot, trail foot. And again, it gives a little squishy feeling. It's inexpensive. You know, you could buy a bunch of them if you wanted to, and you could give them away to your students as all part of their lesson. I find a lot of times that, you know, when I give some students one of my teaching aids, that you know, it helps them. One, it reinforces what I'm trying to get across to them, and they feel like they got something for free. So there's a big value there. Everybody likes something for free. So the force pedal has a couple different products out there. I thought this one was kind of interesting because, you know, we're all trying to work on vertical forces, and if we're not gifted enough to have those 3D plates that Jeff was talking about, which I'm also looking into going forward, but, you know, having something like this to give some kind of physical feedback is good. I think the more we can give our students feeling of what they want, I mean, it doesn't have to be exact, and you don't necessarily need a number, but, you know, again, good feedback there. And Noah, if we could get back to the deck and give me our next slide, I'd appreciate it. Okay, this was another club that I believe Matt McCullough had, and it's a speed club, right? So you see in the middle of that club, you see that there are different discs, there are different weights. So you can adjust those weights for speed to try to create speed. Obviously, it's a Canadian concern there. You see the oneclub.ca for Canada. So it comes out of Canada. So it's you know, easy shipping from Canada here down to the States. But again, it's another one of the speed devices. I think the one thing that we're going to concentrate on at the spring educational seminar is speed, but we're going to do it in a different way because, you know, when I was having these conversations with one of our presenters about speed, he said, you got to screen people. You got to make sure that speed is the answer for them, right? He says, people come to me with 15 to 20 miles an hour more speed than they've ever had, and they can't hit the ball. He says, so is speed a good thing for them? No. But he says, on the other hand, if you have the body, when he was talking about the framework as far as flexibility, as far as strength to control your speed, then it's obviously a gift that we'd all like to have. So, you know, one of the things we're going to do at the seminar is, you know, we're going to have the ability to learn some screenings from TPI that are going to be part of the program. And, you know, when you have that person that wants to create speed, let's do some screenings with them, make sure that they're a good candidate for speed. You know, in some cases, they might be a good candidate for, you know, more squareness of contact or better club path, you know, getting the club face on the golf ball before it gets onto the ground. But again, this was a device that Matt liked. Matt does a lot of training with, both Corn Ferry and with tour players. And so he found this helpful. All right, if we could go up to our next one. So James also works with 4D motion. And funny story about 4D motion. I never understood what 4D was. I was always familiar with 3D. So I went to the people at the show who had a booth, really nice group out of Jersey. And like I said, James Hong does a lot of work with them, and and he advises them certain things. And I said, so what is 4D motion? He says 4D motion is the name you get when 3D motion is no longer available for your URL. So he says, then you go to 4D. So 4D motion is really 3D motion, 3D motion capture. All right. So I was relieved to understand that I did understand what I was talking about, and there wasn't any 4D motion in this case. But if there becomes 4D, they'll certainly have the name. These are markers that go in the body. They've been around for a few years. They keep progressing, right? They keep coming out with better software and better technology in order to get the data back. I think as 3D motion capture goes, they're one of the less expensive ways to do it. They have these markers that can go on the body. They sell them in different sets, so you can measure whatever you want to measure from 6 to 12 markers, and then you pay accordingly to how many markers you buy. But I think it's a really good product if you're looking for 3D motion capture and you want to understand it. And the entry point is a few $1,000s versus $20,000-$30,000 for some of the other units that are out there. Noah, if we could we move on to what would be slide? We'll come back to this one. Can we go all the way to slide 24, which is upper hand golf, and Noah Purvis, who I understand is in the room.
Hey.
Yeah, if we could get there, and if we could. So Upper Hand is a company, I believe they are out of Texas, as I understand it. And I was talking to Kelly Clayton at the show, and Kelly had met with Noah Purvis, and it is basically a golf performance software. And then when we were talking about it, I was also talking to Dan Frankel, as you know, who heads up a lot of our junior golf. So he was telling me out of all the software programs that he's seen out there for juniors, he thought this had the most application, and Dan would certainly know because he does this, day in, day out. So Noah, if you could take that off there and put Noah and get Noah up there so we could see you. Noah, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, John. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's life in Texas?
Cold with that
Cold?
freeze that just came through. Yeah, everything's frozen up. It goes we call it bipolar weather. It's either 85 degrees or it's 37 degrees in the wintertime. So it does this consistently. So we're trying to get through it.
Well, if you feel any better, we had guys on from Sweden this morning. It was minus 30. So
yeah, no, I ain't doing that.
Nothing like that. Now,
Exactly.
what part of Texas are you in?
Just outside of Houston.
Okay.
Yes,
Houston,
sir.
the biggest city in the world.
Yeah, most diverse, I can tell you that's for sure. We have some good food too, so that's always a kicker.
Yeah, you
Not
got
as
some
good as
great
the pizza
barbecue.
y'all have up there, though.
I've been down to Spring, Texas. It's just that it's part of on the outskirts of Houston, the Black Forest Golf Club.
Yeah, if you take 99 South, we're right outside. If you know where Katy is, we're right outside I-10 in Katy. So just outside of Spring.
Good. So Kelly had a good time. She was raving about spending time with you at the show. She had a fun time. I'm not sure so much that she was working real hard because she was laughing so much. So she obviously had fun time meeting you, and she referred to you as Tex.
Yeah, I go
That's
by
your nickname?
Tex. I go by Tex, yes, sir. I usually have a Stetson hat on, like most times I play golf with a Stetson hat. So I've been Tex for the last couple of years, and it's kind of funny because people say Noah or Tex, and I refer to either or. So
We'll have to get Kelly a cowboy hat, make her a cowgirl.
exactly right.
So tell us a little bit about your company and what you're attempting to do here.
Yeah, so I saw a huge hole in the data analytics market as a player, going through the process from high school golf to college golf and then transitioning into professional golf. Every single person writes down their stats, and it's a gigantic pain to get kids or players for that nature to input their stats into various programs because it takes 30 to 45 minutes. And if you get a 15-year-old kid that just shot 81 that usually shoot 73, to ask them to take 45 minutes after they're done to input their round and try to figure out what their stats were.
No chance.
It's no chance. So, and as a player, I was sick and tired of putting in all my stats. I mean, I literally had 150 rounds to put in, and it just took so many hours out of my day. So I thought to myself, I wonder if there's a stats company that's out there that you can take a picture of a scorecard that will upload it for you and then read your stats and put it in for you, turning the process from 30 minutes to roughly less than 30 seconds. And then the second part of it is all the other companies that were out there, I refer to as categorical data, where the coach or the user has to go in and interpret what they're seeing and has to make decisions based off that data. And where we found a huge hole in this is that if you're coaching 20, 30, 40 kids as a PGA professional, or even if it's just amateurs and the liking, you have to go through and try to take an hour out of your time to figure out, okay, where are we deficient? Where do we need to spend our time in our swing lesson? Like, what do we need to do to get this person one shot better? And I realized that there wasn't a company out there that could clearly identify this is the exact reason why this player is not one shot better, and then organize a practice plan for him. So it took me about 3.5 years to write out the actual code for it. But what it does is after you take a picture of your scorecard, when you're done with the round, it'll run that data through 400 million possible scenarios you'll find on a golf course. And it will identify the exact reason why you're not one shot better. So we've tested this with over 350 users, from PGA Tour players to kids that are 8 years old. And we found that I was able to have direct contact with these guys to make sure that this was correct, right? And every single person that I asked, what is the needs most improvement, or what do you think it is? It nailed it every single time. So as a coach and as a swing coach we've been working with managing their players, you never have to ask the question, what do you need to work on? It's clearly identified as this is your needs most improvement, and this is the reason why you're not one shot better. And then that way, whenever you're organizing any type of a swing lesson, anytime you're organizing any type of a practice for a player, you can look on that very clearly right before the lesson starts, click on their name and know, okay, I want to see the last performance of this last month for this player. Sift from date to date and then done. And it'll tell you how many rounds that they played, and also what they're playing to, not their actual scoring average, which I can kind of get into in a second. But then we'll identify this is the exact reason why they're not one shot better. And then if you guys have any type of, if we're going to be working on their swing, I had 3 different coaches in 3 different places from California to Florida. And when I was trying to communicate with them, I was like, I really want to go work on my irons this week with one of my coaches. And he's like, well, where do you need to be working? And that question should have already been answered. And so for me to guess, I was like, you know what? I'm going to build a system that can identify these are my worst yardages as well. This is my worst area in my putting for where my game's at. And it's kind of blown up from there. We had a lot of traction with the high school golf community because those kids, and just getting them to take a picture, that's all we're asking is, and this is what the stats card looks like. So they write their stats down. It takes 7 seconds after the hole, so it doesn't screw up pace of play. And then they take a picture and they're done. So if you can write down your stats and take a picture, you can use, upper hand golf.
Tell me, with that card that you have there, what kind of data is on there? What am I recording if I'm a junior?
Yeah, so it's going to be, I'll read it from left to right. So it's going to be par, score, what did you hit off the tee? So driver, 1 iron, 3 iron, whatever it is. Did you hit the fairway? Yes or no? Did you hit the green? Yes or no? What was your approach distance into that hole? Did you hit that approach shot on the green? Yes or no? The amount of putts that you had, first putt distance, second putt distance. So
all simple stuff they can do quickly.
Exactly. And that's where the beautiful part where I looked at this and I was like, I want a guy who's 65 or 70 years old, who's never written down stats before, to be able to utilize this product and make it be easy. And then also for an 8-year-old who just got into, the game and trying to figure out where do I need to practice and allocate my time. If you can write down your stats and take a picture, we make this process really simple.
So basically, you're not only giving statistical information, you're doing performance analysis that saves me time, because I had this conversation with one of the ladies that presented earlier this week in junior golf development, and And one of the conversations we were having is she said, I spend so much time at night figuring out lesson plans.
Yeah.
She says, and I've got to figure out a way to charge for this, because she said, initially I was just doing it a few hours here and there, but my program has grown so much. I have 50, 60 kids. And she says, I'm putting in all this extra time, which I don't mind doing because I want a better product for my kids. But at the same time, I'm not being compensated for it.
Exactly. And if you're charging $150 an hour or $200 an hour, that's $200 that you're losing out of your time. If you were to say that's properly,
well, that's
right?
What she was saying, that she says, she said, I don't have any off time anymore. She says,
exactly.
I teach all day and then I write lessons plans all night.
Yep. And this is where it solves that problem completely. So
yeah, that's very unique.
Thank you. Yeah. So with our product, to answer that problem is we are able to just select the player, and then it's going to give you the data for the entirety of who that player is. So if they've used it for 2 years, it'll show like 200 rounds. So then you can say, okay, I want to see the last 6 months of this player's data. I want to see the last week they just played in a tournament. I want to see the performance of what that is. So all you have to do is press from date to date done. And it will tell you the exact reason why that player is not one shot better and every area they're actually deficient in their game. So where we saw this as well is that it's calculated. I'll kind of get in the weeds a little bit, but it's called a fluid baseline technology system that I invented. Meaning, if you are playing to a 75, how do you get to a 74 in the fastest way possible? What area do you need to allocate your time to increase that productivity, right? And so by answering that question with the software that we utilize, all of a sudden, there's no more asking, what do you need to work on? What do we need to do? As long as you can log in, click on the player's name, you know exactly what they need to do to get one shot better. And also for the communication side, like having that player being on the same page is one of the majority problems that, coaches get into, because everyone has their opinion on how coaching can be conducted. Everybody has their own signature to it. So with this, it gives concrete data to say, this is a major problem. This is what's really holding you back, argue it. And the player goes, nope, yep, that is a problem. So now we're both on the same page and we're working on the area we need to be working on.
Plus you have the factual data to have that conversation, because sometimes when I've caddied for my juniors because I want to see what they're doing on course, because the story I'm getting and what I'm seeing when I'm working with them on the range or, on the putting green is not cohesive.
Yeah.
So I have gone out and caddied in tournaments because I want to see the sight lines. I want to see the sight lines that are so conservative, over literally a bunker with woods on the left side. Right. Mm-hmm. So I know that, and the kids I work with, they're not trying to mislead me. That's just their impression of their game. And a lot of times it's not factually based. Now, how does your program work? Is it a subscription based?
It is subscription based. That way we give the coach the ability, because in the off season, sometimes like if you're up from the north, the season's a lot shorter. So that way you can just pause payments until you keep going. Right. But it is, so for a swing coach of 5 players, it's $25 a month. Good. Oh, so a swing coach is $5. Sure. It's $25 per month for 5 players. And then if you get over 30 players, so let's say you're managing 75 players, it's $60 a month. And then for the individual to sign up, for the individual's subscription base is $30. So if you were to get an individual player to sign up, it's $30 a month. And then for the coaching to manage all of these players, it ranges from 25 to 60, depending on how many players you actually coach.
And you could do this in different ways. And you could, like, if you're doing lesson packages or so forth, you can just incorporate all those costs in.
Exactly. And where we see this as, and the opportunity we see this in the coaching is, if you are able to show, like, let's say you're in just the junior market, for example, getting a parent on board as well with the process is another hump that most coaches, having that data back decision saying, we are working on this because this is deficient and this is how we're going to get better. So then that parent is now on board, even if they're not familiar with the golf industry or how golf is conducted. Now they're like, oh, are you practicing this? What are you doing to take the next steps to improve upon this based on their performance?
So you have a plan.
Exactly. And you have definitive data that you can say, okay, in 6 months, you know, we have your putting from 6 to 9 feet is identified as the number one area, the reason why you're not one shot better. We all agree that that is correct. And you're at 23%. Well, in 6 months, we want to be at 50. You know what I mean? And so that way the coach can have an understanding
You
of
can set goals.
Exactly. And we have, we
to get
can
there.
see it now. Exactly. And we can see this now in the process of, okay, we did hit this, and look at your scoring average. Look what it did now. And then for that kid to be now, or that player to be invested in what your teaching methods are, is now strengthening that relationship.
Well, that's good. What we're going to do here, Texas, this we have a whole deck of slides that, you know, products we're showing this morning. And so are you going to be the point of contact?
Yes, sir. I will be.
All right. So we have your email on there. And so we're going to send this whole deck out to all of our attendees this morning to save them, you know, the trouble of taking photographs and everything. And then we'll be back in touch with you, because there's we've got a lot of coaches here who run really big junior programs. And so I'm going to share this. Two of them aren't on this morning because they have previous obligations, but I'm going to share your information with them, and then I'm going to have them reach out to you for additional information, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be fantastic.
All right. And the other thing you got to do is you got to work on finding us a cowboy hat for Kelly, something she would look good in.
Yeah. No,
all right. We'll surprise her with it, because she's not on this morning. She's in Florida visiting family. All right.
No, we'll get that set away. Thank you, John.
All right.
I appreciate it.
We'll be in touch. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Tex. You have a good day. Hope it warms
well.
up. All right, sir.
You as well.
It will come April. All right. Okay, Noah, if we could get back to the deck. We've got a few minutes left here. We can run. So here's Capto, and it's now, this is the new Gen 2. I'm a Capto user. I think there's a lot of good things, and there's a few things that I'm not a big fan of, but it's the way it goes with technology, right? So I like accurate data. In order to have accurate data, you know, I got to calibrate the putter. And one of the things that Capto's done in this Gen 2, which I traded in for, is they've created a model putter base. So rather, you know, once I get accustomed to, you know, the putters are in my, you know, in my students' bags, I can go ahead and put that information about length, lie angle, club face, and so forth, all into a model. And then somebody comes in with a, you know, a putter similar to that one, then I can just use the model, which helps me not have to calibrate and saves me a few minutes setting up. You'll notice in that picture, there's a little wheel that it's sitting on. So that wheel turns, and then that goes on the shaft there, you know, so, and then you notice on the top right of it, that's a window, right? So that window would actually be facing the, you know, the golfer, so you can look down as a golfer. So one of the things Capto does, which I really like, is it allows me to set up an alignment cup, if you will. And so then I can aim the putter, or if I have a breaking putt, aim to the right or left. But I can preset that and calibrate the correct aim line that I want the person to start on, like if I'm playing, say, 2 feet of break. And so there's a way to do that. And then I can look right into that window if I want. And it'll tell me whether my putter's off, right, or left, you know, by giving me pluses and minuses in degrees. And so I use it as an aiming tool, which, you know, I think aiming is important, right? Because it gives me the opportunity to start on the ball online. So there's, you know, upwards of, you know, 20, 25 parameters of data that comes out of here. Obviously, I don't use them all. That wheel also allows me to capture data, and I can just spin it around on the shaft. So I'm capturing data, but at the same point, the student doesn't see it. If we just want to work more on, you know, the performance of putting, like we've already addressed any technical stuff, you know, with setup and so forth, or a stroke. And so then I could just spin that wheel around. I could put it on the back of the shaft, and it hides the data. I can shut it off, you know, but as long as my iPad's on, it can still capture data. So there's a lot of cool things with the new one. I think my unit was somewhere around $2,000 when I purchased it a couple of years ago. I've liked it, you know, outside of a few setup things that take a few minutes, but again, you know, better setup, better data. And this Gen 2 at the show, I was able to trade my other unit in, get the Gen 2, which is a $2,200 unit with the additional software for, I think it was $800 at the show. So I readily did that because I went to the show with the idea of spending money, and I did. So my two big expenses at the show were the Capto, and then I'm getting those jet boots from Nordy at a good price, Nordy, right? All right, so if we can move on, Noah, have our next one. All right, this is something that's been around for a few months. Mike Suma over there at the Sandwich Club bought this at the show. I have actually a couple of clients who got this as a gift, one for Hanukkah, one for Christmas, and a third guy, I think it was just before Christmas, he had a birthday. So they've brought it in. We've been fooling around with it. It's a wearable watch, and as wearable watches go, it's kind of cool looking, right? So you can put that watch on, and then there's an app in there. And so then as you swing, it gives you your backswing length, width, plane, transition, hand speed, and so forth. I like data, let's be honest, right? Anything that helps me get a student better. If the data helps, I'm all in. You're not guessing anymore when you're using technology. Technology is here to stay, so let's embrace it and get the most out of it. This is about, I think this was about $600 for the watch and the software that goes in it. So, as technology for a teacher goes, it's not terribly expensive. And I know a couple guys, both my students who are using it, where I liked it with my students because, they're not the best short game players in the world, is we were working on different wedge lengths going back. And actually we're gonna have some wedge work at our forum here in the spring down there at Trump Ferry Point. So we're going to do some short game there. But it measures the backswing length. So, I typically work with backswing length like a clock, 7, 8, 9 at, waist high, parallel to the floor, 10, 11. Well, this will measure it so you can give your student a number with the length. I don't want the students guessing, where 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock is. I want them to feel it. So then when they're out playing, they can feel that 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock position. So I liked it a lot for backswing length with short game. I think short game is probably the area that most of my students could be better at, and probably the area that most of my students don't like to practice, even though it's probably 60% of their scoring ability. Excuse me, got my allergies working this morning. So DeWiz Golf, you see the URL is up there, and they have a number of tour players who are obviously they're paying to wear it and to advertise it. So I never put a lot of stock in tour players agreeing to accept a check to embrace technology. But in this case, I do like the technology, even though I haven't personally owned it. I do think it's a good product, and it's something to look into. All right, Noah, next slide, please. So ProTag's a sponsor. Thing about ProTag is they have a lot of different tags that they can create for you. Very popular with a lot of the private clubs that want to create special tags for whether you have a member guest or an invitational. When I was on the club side of the business, I always liked bag tags because I thought they were a good way to advertise your club. I'd always like sophisticated looking bag tags. I don't like bag tags where somebody's writing my name on it. The bag tags that I have on my bag are all engraved because that's just how I roll, right? I'm just very particular about certain things. Does it make my score any better? No, but it makes me look like I know how to score better, right? So I'm a bag tag guy, I always have been. Don't have a lot of them, but I like ones that are sophisticated, and ProTag does a lot of stuff like that, which I think is pretty cool. All right, Noah, next one. Okay, Swanee's Golf. This came off of a list that Katie Wiedmar from Wingfoot shared with us. Katie, as you probably know, was our private club merchandiser of the year back in 2021. And it was just announced at the show that Katie now is our PGA National Private Club Merchandiser of the Year. So huge congratulations to Katie. for those of you that don't know, Katie's been at Wingfoot for a number of years now. Katie hails from Kentucky. She is one of the smartest, nicest people that you're going to ever meet. She's just a character. She makes me laugh every time I talk to her. She is obviously very good at what she does, and it just goes to prove how smart Mike Gilmore was when he hired her, because Katie is now our National Merchandiser of the Year. And I think that's pretty cool for Katie to win that award at this stage of her career. She's always very giving of her time with me and with any of the education stuff we do. So Swannies is a company that she works with, and she particularly likes their hats. You know, they're an apparel company, so they have a whole list of things. I hadn't been familiar with them, but after having talked to Katie, I went on their website. She's done a lot of different stuff. So she's got a lot of things going on with Wingfoot and anniversaries and so forth. I think they're in their centennial year coming up. So they're doing a lot of special stuff. So she takes the hat and then she uses the various Wingfoot logos that they have developed and are using this year on that. So she was very high on that. And anytime Katie tells me to look at something, I do, because I have a lot of respect for that lady and her ability to merchandise, because it doesn't get any bigger than merchandising for Mike down at Wingfoot. Next slide, Noah. And one of her other favorites is Signs by the Sea. Now, we've had them on a number of times in the past. She does a lot of their smaller signs, and she'll do those for, you know, member guest invitationals and things like that. You know, as you know, Wingfoot does a ton of outings, so she has a very good business there. And so she's always looking for new products, and, you know, they create, you know, the signage. And anytime you're going to put the, you know, like so many of your clubs, you know, you put the Quaker Ridge or the Wingfoot or the Westchester logo on something, you know, that's a keepsake for people. You know, you can do it with coasters and things like that, things for the office. So Signs by the Sea is one of Katie's favorites. And they've been a sponsor for us here in the Met section. They're very giving of their time, always sharing things. And so one of the things that we like about sponsors is they stand there and they donate money to our section so that we can survive and do nice purses for our men and women playing. So if you can support a sponsor, please do. They've got our back. Noah, next sign, please. Okay, the click gear, right, for obviously everything you need for golf carts, right? They're kind of like the Cadillac. Not only do they have parts, but they have all kind of different carts. I was never much of a golf cart person in the past. I used to carry my bag when, you know, I'd play a facility that, you know, I didn't want to take a cart. And then probably about 5-6 years ago, my wife got a cart and she wasn't going to play one day. And I took the cart just to try it, and I'll never carry my bag again. It was the greatest thing I ever did. I like a golf cart when I'm playing, and because I like to walk, but I don't want to carry it. And if I can't have a caddy, in addition to being easy on my back, it allows me to put, you know, drinks or snacks or anything I want on the cart, and it just push it down the highway. So, you know, I was looking at all the different click gear stuff at the show, and they just have a ton of carts. And a number of you who are walking courses now do, you know, cart rentals. So I think well worth the time to look at somebody like Click Gear, because they're mobile, they're easy to push. And if you have older players or people who aren't real strong, you know, the easier it is to push the cart, the more likely they are to use it. So Click Gear is impressive, and they were very, very giving of their time for me at the show. I'm a sunglass guy, so U-Swing I wear their high-end sunglasses, which I like. These I particularly like. That's why I put that up there, and I put that Overcast series on there. They have them all marked on their catalogs, and so I wanted to remember for myself which one this was. So I think that I'm deserving of some new sunglasses this season. And I like things that are a little different. I like things that are a little more expensive because not everybody has them and they're unique. And eyewear I look as like, as, you know, it's part of the kit, right? It's, you know, I like good golf shirts. I like nice vests. I like nice outerwear, and I like nice sunglasses. So I'm not your normal, you know, $35, $40 sunglass guy, though there's nothing wrong with those. I like the high end stuff, which U-Swing certainly has, and they'll be in my pocket this spring going into summer. Noah, next slide, please. All right, this got somehow turned sideways, so you can bend your head or bend your computer. But anyhow, this was the Zen Stage green. I spent a bunch of time over there. What I liked about this green, like I like all those portable greens, you can adjust slope on this, so you can give yourself breaking putts. For any of those of you who have indoor studios at your clubs, or your members want to develop something indoors, this Zen Stage was very impressive. The one you see here is going up to Sea Island, so I'm sure it's there by now. I was talking to them and they were taking it up there, so they're going to do some testing up there at the indoor studio at Sea Island. As you know, Sea Island probably has 30 to 40 tour players living on property and using their facilities to practice and play. So there were a ton of putting platforms. I was convinced if you did putting platforms and golf simulators, you could do 2.5 days to show and not look at another product and still be confused as to what to buy. I think that was my biggest takeaway from the show, is how much technology is at the show and how much everybody is putting it in everything, you know, from the putting greens to the goggles. You know, the number of Korean companies had different versions of putting greens, and a lot of them are using overhead projectors now to display, you know, breaks or channels, if you will, where you want the ball to start. And a couple of them take those channels and you can diminish the size of the channel to get more accurate with getting your ball started online. So if your club is one of those clubs that has the budget, I mean, these are a lot of fun. You know, they're fun to play on, they're fun to practice on. You know, you can do putting contests on them. You know, you can obviously create revenue during the winter, you know, by teaching putting and teaching breaking putts and so forth. Noah, next slide, please. So here's another area that is just going to explode going forward. There's a gentleman from Texas, John Sinclair, who is very big into technology. He's a very good, gifted instructor. He has the attention of a lot of us in the instruction industry because he's always on the cutting edge. The markerless wireless 3D capture, right? So this is, you know, this gets back to what's going on with the Watch It Golf and being able to use video in order to get your data. And that's what, you know, the Fenris group is. Now, John's, I know, has been working with them. Their product releasing, I think the app is available now. And again, in the past, you know, all the 3D capture is by wearing suits or wearing markers. And, you know, we saw this with a couple of the AI companies with the markerless technology and capturing video. Excuse me. Much like what Watch It's doing with their video, right? So this, to me, is like the next big thing, is what Watch It's doing, as well as what Motion 2 Coach here is doing, and that they're going to use video and they're going to back into all your different numbers. And in this case, you know, not your launch monitor data, but your body data, you know, what the body's doing. So this is obviously, it's a lot easier to use a camera than to put somebody into a suit, and it takes a lot less time, and it's more affordable because you're not, you know, even though you're buying the technology, you're not having to buy all the hardware that goes with it. So I think this is one to watch. I always like technology after its second or third version because I just think it continues to improve. You know, I have found that my second generation, third generation is obviously a lot more sophisticated. So I'm somewhat of a wait and watch guy. I'm very much interested in this because of the way they do it without the markers, without the wires. I just have to, you know, capture the video, and that's going to give me my data. So I'm not going to run out and buy this right now, but it's certainly one that I'm going to watch over the spring and summer months. John Sinclair is, you know, he's a person that I trust. You know, if John says that, I'm buying it because he does all his homework. He's very good with technical aspects of the golf swing, and he's very good with 3D capture. He does a lot of different seminars, you know, at the show and for different companies, all of whom I respect. So So I like what John has to say about this, and I know he's been on social media quite a bit in the last 10 to 12 weeks talking about this. So put this on your to watch group. It's going to certainly be interesting to watch them over the spring and summer. Okay, Noah, if you go next. So this is one of my favorite companies, right? Ramon is in, I believe he's in Jacksonville, right? And the Perfect Putter, you're all familiar with the apparatus you see there. That's one that breaks down. You can see it on the bottom there. You see that nut. Okay, so you can unscrew that and it folds up and goes in a smaller carrying case. I don't have that one. I have the original one, which doesn't fold up, but I use it in all my different putting clinics. I use it with my aim point green reading because it gives me accurate start lines. The one there is very similar. Mine's a little bit bigger. And then what I did is I installed a laser, underneath that shoots a laser down the target line. So, I get people to aim, or if I'm playing so much break, I can actually pinpoint what in my green ring, we call it aim point, but it's your start line. So I have a laser attached to mine that helps me show just how much, a putt will break. My experience with putting is everybody, for the most part, unless they're properly trained with some type of green reading process, under reads rather than over reads, which is, leads to a lot of three putts once the ball gets below the hole. The thing I like about Ramon is, just like this product is, he has a lot of different aids. I bought 2 of them at the show, and the ones I have are alignment aids, for ball start line and aiming lines, but they're all made out of stainless steel. So, they'll be around for 500-600 years. So when I get done teaching, my family can sell them and take the money and go skiing in Vermont. But all of his stuff is stainless steel. It wears, everything I buy from him. I've never had anything break down from him. He's always there. He answers all my questions, not only at the show, but I email him, and he and his wife, Carolina, run the business. And it's just like, it's a small company, it's owned by a husband and wife, and they're very passionate about what they do and putting out a good product. So he's always one of my stops at the show. I stop by and hope that he has something new. This year I actually called him beforehand because I had some questions about a product that I had purchased previously, didn't use a lot, and I wanted some different ideas with it. He was so kind to fill me in on those. But husband and wife team who work very hard and are really nice people, and they have a product that, like I said, will last forever. So well worth going on there. If you're doing, or your assistants, you're creating some stuff on the putting green. There's a lot of stuff that you can put out on the putting green and set up little stations for your members. I think that's always a good idea to have a few things out on that putting green and set up some stations for them to practice with. One, it shows them you care. 2, it gets them asking questions about putting, which can drive, lesson revenue and give you and your assistants the opportunity to be out there. So one of my things about putting is stuff. I like stuff. I like stuff because 2 reasons. 1, everything that I have in a bag, I will eventually use for somebody. And 2, I like to put stuff out because when you do, and you know how to use it, people figure that you're more of an expert than somebody else. So you give them a good impression. Part of it is you're marketing not only your skills and your talents, but you're marketing yourself. So have some things on the putting green for them to play around with. Worst case scenario, they become better putters and like you even more than they already do. Noah, next slide. So James Hong had this idea here. This is, again, that force pedal company. So you can see those brown, or excuse me, blue. I'm all right. They are blue, my favorite color. So those blue circular pieces, and then you have those red rubber pieces that sit on top. So that allows you some rotation, so they can be set up to rotate with or without resistance. So you can use them like physical training, or if you're trying to get somebody's feet and legs to move a little different in golf swing. These are simple devices. You can use them for, lead leg, trail leg. You could actually use them at the same time if you wanted to. But again, they're inexpensive. the ways to connotate feeling. And I think anytime that we're working with rotation and any interaction with the ground, we want to have that feeling. And this is a very inexpensive way to give them that feeling. So inexpensive, and they give you a good feel. And again, a part of that Force Pedal company. So they have a nice little website with kind of unique products. They also have some little training guides to go with the products, which I always appreciate. Next slide, Noah. Okay, so who do you think would come up with something like this, right? Who would give us this? Somebody who likes comfort, Kirk O'Gorey, my man. So anyhow, one of the things that Jeff pointed out to us from the section office, because, you know, nobody knows the rules as well as Jeff, because he used to be the tournament, you know, committee person and ran all our tournaments, is this might be illegal for tournament play according to USGA. So I have a contact at the USGA, and I sent him a website URL today to look at, and it let us know, because there's something about apparel, and if the apparel creates energy, it is in violation of a rule with the USGA. For me, it's not going to matter, because when I'm teaching out in March and April and it's 35 to 40 degrees, I'm going to have this thing on, cranked up, all batteries operating. All right, so I'm looking for comfort here. So basically, it's heated apparel. This company creates heated apparel. I do some skiing in the wintertime, so I'm big into comfort and heat. And I thought this might be good for, you know, for some, you know, layering garments. Again, if you're playing in our section events, we got to get the ruling on this, which we will have before the section event starts, you know, in the spring. But as far as standing outside teaching, you can be as comfortable as you want to be. I like the idea of heated apparel, right? It takes the chill out of the air. You know, for those of you that use, you know, gloves with, you know, you have gloves that have heat, you know, heaters, little battery packs in them and so forth. Same idea. They make leggings, you know, so you could, and they make vests. I like the idea of vest because I could layer. I like the idea of a full swing jacket there. Covers me up and makes me toasty. So if I'm going to watch bad swings on a cold day, I want to do it in comfort. Next slide, Noah. All right, this came from Silver Mine. Stuart saw this company. One of the things I've heard over time, we were all in love with ship sticks when it first came out. Everybody was, you know, this is the only way to go. Provide me the boxes, pick up, you know, great, until they lose a club. So I teach in the city. I have a number of clients who travel, and guess who gets the opportunity to ship their clubs? I do. So you can't say no. So you're in that position where and especially if you're a private club, there's no way that you can say no. But so Stuart come up with this company. They're a shipping company, Anoa, and apparently a lot less problems, a lot more accurate with their pickups, with their deliveries. He's had no problems. And it's a small thing in our industry when you're shipping somebody's clubs, but go ahead, lose a member's clubs, and it becomes a really big thing. So I think you need reputable people. I don't have firsthand experience with this, but Stuart's been working with them and very happy with what they've done for him. And so, you know, he's off the ship sticks because he had too many problems, and who needs member clubs being lost, right? So it's worth looking at, you know, give them a try. Again, it comes to us by somebody who's been using them. So it's been validated that they know what they're doing and they haven't lost anything yet. So one of the things we try to do, not only with, you know, today's program, but with all the programs, is all of you have about 100 jobs that you have to do, some of them a day, some of them a week, right? You're pulled in 100 different directions. And so if we can provide some kind of a resource, much like, you know, what we do with the educational seminars, you know, not every seminar and every product appeals to everybody, but we're not trying to appeal to everybody. We're trying to appeal to all of you at large. So I think the more resources you have, the easier it is for you to do your job, and the easier it is for you to do the job, the better your day is going to be. So that's the whole idea of this. So from time to time, if you find things that you like, you know, by all means, send them in to me. We can create lists. We can have Noah ship the list out to all of you. Again, you know, we want the section education to be a resource to make your jobs easier and give you more leisure time. right? Which we're all going to enjoy for the next couple of months. So the upper hand golf one, let's go back to that a minute there, Noah, if you would. So that's one that Noah, aka Tex from Houston, was on with. Dan Frankel really liked this product. And I like the idea that you could take the snapshot of it, so that, and the idea that it does a summary for you of what's going on with your player. So there's a lot to be said for that. With any of the subscriptions, I think you just kind of work them into the cost of the program. When I have subscription-based products, I work it into the cost of my lessons. So I don't ask my students to pay for everything. I look at it as a value added for them, and I'm not going to lose money on it. But at the same time, I have a product that's in the deck here that I'm currently using. And rather than charge the students everything for it, I took out the subscription. They get it for free. So it looks like a value added when they're buying their packages from me. Thank you, Noah. Go to the next product, if you would. All right. So Clayton and Kroom, leather products. So again, those of you who have, or you're looking for unique gifts, another one of the leather companies. This particular company is kind of like, they do a lot of unique products, from the money clips to the folders. Some guys like money clips. What I think was interesting about this company is they had a number of products that would be like nice favors. So when you're running tournaments, you're looking for something, you need to buy 100 of it at a decent price. These are leather, so everybody kind of likes it, like the feel of leather. And they come up with a lot of different things. So again, unique, and they carry a lot of different products that you don't often see. I think we had another leather company in here that I like too, by the name of Dormy. Okay, Noah. Turtles and I have mentioned before. I spent some time with Tammy at the show because I had to get my spring order in, and so I did that. They've expanded their men's slacks line. So I was looking at that, and I got a number of those coming to me, as well as some new hoodies. I'm a big hoodie guy, both for comfort and, for fashion. I like hoodies, and everybody's making hoodies, and they're doing one of the things I saw at the show is they're doing a lot of different fabric, which is fine with me. I like things that are durable. And two things that Tammy's doing, they have an assistance program. That's why I wanted to throw her in there. And also they're a section sponsor, and you notice our emails there. But they have an assistance program where they're offering, apparel to assistants at a discounted under cost rate, right? So you're getting your wholesale cost, and then they take additional percentage off for the assistants, understanding that the assistants aren't the highest paid people in the world, and they like to dress nicely and have nice clothing. Plus, it lets the assistant start to interact with them with the hopes of driving business down the road. I personally like their products. I wear, I'm going to have their pants. I have their outerwear and shirts. It's been a nice addition to my wardrobe. And the thing that they do, which Katie Wiedmeyer had talked about when we did the pre-show, is they do those microsites. So we had talked extensively about the show about that, because that kind of intrigued me. And for those of you don't know, which most of you probably do because you're more intelligent than I am about these things, but microsites are sites that they create for you. And Katie was talking about Christmas, right? So she created, or she had created microsites with a number of companies. So her members can go onto the microsite, order the products they want, the colors, the sizes, the apparel, what have you. And the company is going to ship all that. And then they invoice Katie, and then Katie can just build them. So it allows you to carry material, right? Be they sweaters and, shirts, pants, what have you. So you can have you can have somebody like Turtles and create a microsite, for both men and women. So it's a virtual golf shop. You don't have to carry it. You don't have to order it. People just go in and buy it, and then you can charge them. They ship it. You charge the person as if they had walked into your shop. So it's just an extension to your shop. And, one of the things that Katie is up against is she is Wingfoot. Everybody wants, of course, if I'm a vendor, I want to be in Wingfoot, but you only have so much space. right? So the microsites have allowed Katie to expand her revenue, expand her offerings, expand her inventory. She doesn't have to buy anything. She doesn't have to send anything back, and she doesn't have to get rid of anything at the end of the season. So I'm intrigued by microsites. I think it's really cool. And again, it's a virtual golf shop. And Turtlesome, among other companies, are creating the site for you. So all you have to do is agree to it. It's kind of unique, and they'll do the legwork, and it gives you an extension. And again, I think it's unique, and especially if your club's never done anything like that, your members have the opportunity to do this. You know, you can do it on special occasions. You know, you could do it for summer, you could do it for spring, you could do it for the holidays, what have you. But it's kind of a unique way to drive revenue. All right, next slide, please. Okay, OnForm, and it's an analysis app. So I got a spelling error there that I did around 11:30 last night. So that's my mistake. We'll get that taken care of before Noah sends the deck out. I had mentioned them in our pre-show. This is the analysis, not analysis app, and coaching platform that I use. And the reason I like it is I can put all my students in it. If I wanted to do like a swing video on a certain thing, I could send it out to all my students, or I could send it out to selected students. They have their own file on my app. When I'm done my lesson, I always do video voiceovers because it keeps them engaged. I send them that information. They can take, with their camera, they can go onto the app, take swings, and send them back to me. So it allows me to engage with them. It has a private box in each of their files that I can make notes about the lessons, which they don't see. So if I say things that I want to address, but I don't want them to be concerned about it, it's there. And then at the show, which is the reason I brought them back up again, you know, I spent a lot of time with Gear Wilson, who's one of the founders, lives out in Colorado Springs, and he showed me a process which he's going to send me. I asked him to do a video, and I'll share it with anybody who wants it. But I can go on to Instagram now with my OnForm app, and I can capture Instagram because, you know, a lot of the tour players, a lot of tour player coaches are always putting, you know, swings up on Instagram. And, you know, you got to go in and you got to video them, and then you got to transfer them, and it's just a hassle, right? It can be done, but it's more work than need be. So OnForm's come up with a technology in their app where you can just go through and capture Instagram videos. And so then you can add to your tour player database. So, you know, I always like collecting men and women tour players who swings I like. You know, I think the women are harder to come by. They're not, you know, but more women tour players are now using Instagram. So, you know, the likes of, you know, people like Nelly Corda, who I love to have swings of, you know, be such a good player. I can go on there now with my OnForm onto her Instagram account and capture her video. So I think that's a really unique thing to have. And again, I like a library because a lot of times with my men, I'll pull up some women players who I think are really good and show them, you know, because a lot of my people, you know, they have a lot better chance of making, you know, motion like a woman who maybe hit at 240 to 260 than a man who hits at 325 to 350. That's sometimes a hard identification process. Like, we're not all Rory McIlroy, but certainly a way to capture, which makes my library bigger and obviously gives me a database to work from. Noah, next slide, if you would. Again, this is one that I found. We're back to ProTag here, which I like, but this was an example, and I just got that a little out of order. I'll probably put that back with the ProTag ones to make it easier for you. But this is from Cape Kidnappers, which is, you know, someplace we'd all like to go, and, you know, the most we're ever going to get is a bag tag or head cover. But I thought this was kind of unique. So, you know, on one side of it, they can identify their guest, and on the other side, it gives you the nice visual overhead of those cliffs and the water and the golf course. So that's the kind of work that ProTag does, you know. And again, for special events, you know, be the invitationals or member guests, and you want to do something unique and advertise your club to not only to your guests when they're there, but to your guests when they leave. You know, give them a nice bag tag. Like I said, I don't like cheap bag tags. I don't think it stands well for the club. I'd rather have no bag tag than inexpensive and cheap ones. Next slide, Noah. All right, back to the leather goods, right? I like stuff like this. I think it's kind of cool. I like the hybrid, head covers from Dormy as well as these. I'm not a one head cover style for each club in my bag. And now that I'm becoming more aged, I see more head covers than I have in the past. The 3 and 4 irons have somehow disappeared from my bag. So again, very stylish. Dormy does some really nice work on their head covers. And I just like unique head covers. I always have. And they do some really nice leather work there. So they have a pretty cool website, with all the different clubs and, from wedges, or not wedges, but from putters and hybrids to fairway woods to your head covers. And this is one that a number of the golf professionals from the better private clubs we're talking about, they have accounts with them, and they've been impressed with the work, and they continue to carry them into this season. All right, Noah, we got another one up there. All right, so this was a Capto one. I'll put this with the other Capto one, but you notice this one, I have the window there. That's how that Capto unit sits on the device. Right, so you can look in that window, like if you're working on aiming. It gives you 3 data points, 3 parameters that you can have in that window. You can go into the app and pick those parameters, and then you see that little wheel is under the shaft. And if you don't want to see it, you can just flip that around. All right, so I'll put that in line with the other one. My apologies for having an out of line, but it just goes to show you what late night work looks like. One more, if you would, Noah. All right, Holderness and Bourne. Actually, they're going to be with us as sponsors. Mr. Bourne there on the right is somebody that I met in the city, had good conversations. He's an avid golfer, and I live in Rye. Their corporate headquarters right now, which that picture was taken from, that's right in Rye. So I'm going to meet up with him. I visited them at the show. I really like their product, very sophisticated, clean, what our whole Met section's about. I think anybody that puts Holderness and Bourne in the shop is going to do well with it. These guys are really good. They're partners, from college days, I believe, and very local. So it's good to have them involved in a section, and they're avid golfers. And so they understand it, not only from a business standpoint, but, from a wearability, play golf, create, casual golf wear that's comfortable. So I enjoyed my conversations with them, and with Mr. Bourne in particular. He was a good guy. And when I met him, he was getting fitted for some clubs. So he was jumping into that launch monitor data full force, just like the rest of us, right? He wants to get better. But again, really good guys, really good product. And that's pretty much the end of our slideshow here. Hope you enjoyed it this morning. I'll make some changes here. I'll have Noah send it out to all of you so that you can have it as a resource. Share it with your staff. Any questions about any of the companies that you'd like answered? I've dealt with most of them, as have some of our other committee members. So we have that information. I want to remind you that going forward, next week, Kevin Sprecher and Kevin Duffy, who is a fitness instructor, have put together a fitness program. The Kevins, as I call them, met at a seminar up in Connecticut and decided to join forces. So Kevin Sprecher, who's a longtime member of the education committee, agreed to do a seminar for us. So we'll have that Zoomed on Monday morning at 10 o'clock. Also, Kevin has room for about 15 people. So I'm going to go over, I'm going to do it in person. And we have room for others. If you want to attend in person, when you register on the website, just make that known, and you'll be able to attend in person. On Thursday of next week, we have Dan Hemme, who will not probably be wearing his new shoes from Nordy by then, but Dan's the new head professional up there at Innis Arden. So Dan's going to host a program with Mark Brody for Columbia University. All of you know about Mark, his books, Every Shot Counts, and strokes gained, he's the father of. He also advises USJ on their handicap committee, and he was a consultant to Trevor Immelman with the President's Cup this past fall. So he has a lot of good experiences. And in addition to which, Mark is a member down there. And at his club with Mike Diffley, and as I understand it, was a past club champion. So he's also a pretty good player. So he understands it from a statistical standpoint as well as a player standpoint. And Dan is going to interview him. That'll be on Thursday morning. And then on Friday morning, we're going to be with Paul Ferrone at his shop in downtown Stamford. And Paul's going to kind of take us into the workshop for all of those of you who do some club repair or have shops set up for you and your assistants. Paul's just going to take us through some different club fitting things that he does, and what you need equipment wise, what you need inventory wise, things that he thinks would be easy for you to do at a club level. And obviously there's other things that are a little more sophisticated if you don't have the inventory of shafts and so forth that you could farm out to people like he and Pete's on Long Island. So we're going to have 3 programs. So we got Kevin Sprecher on Monday. We have Mark Brody with Dan Hemme on Thursday. And then again on Friday, I'm going to be in the workshop with Paul Ferrone. He's already told me don't touch anything, just ask questions. So I will have my hands in the air. So thank you for attending. Obviously, Caitlin will make sure that you all get your professional development requirement, which are your points, commonly known as MSRs. Once we got used to that, the PGA of America's changed into professional development requirement now. So we'll get those in the hopper for you. And if you have any questions, email us. Thank you for participating. Have a good weekend and stay warm.